San Francisco is a one-of-a-kind city with so much to do, you need to have a plan to get it all in one weekend visit. We just got back from our third weekend trip in recent years and want to show you how to plan the perfect weekend in San Francisco. Follow this simple itinerary step by step or mix it up to fit your travel style. Here's our perfect 3-day weekend in San Francisco. Alright, day 1. On the first day, we're going to hit the ground running and see some of the city's best things to do and show you how diverse San Francisco really is. To make the most of the day, use Ubers or purchase a hop-on, hop-off bus ticket for today's adventures, because most sites are too far to walk between. But before we jump in, here's a little info on how to get around San Francisco. No matter where you are in the city, you won't be too far away from an Uber or a Lyft. The rates are also very affordable, with most rides costing under $10. And from the airport, an Uber will only cost you about $40 one way. There are also hop-on, hop-off buses. While we don't always recommend these types of buses because they can be kind of a tourist trap, but in San Francisco they're actually a pretty good way to get around and see the city, especially if you want to go across the bridge, because a round-trip Uber ride will cost more than $40. Lastly, cable cars. They aren't just for show. They're still a functional part of the city's transportation system, and they make for a fun ride and a great photo op too. Alright, back to the itinerary. Start your trip to San Francisco with a visit to some of the city's most famous residents, the Painted Ladies. Mornings are your best chance to have these beauties all to yourself. Later in the day, the park can get busy with people coming to admire them and live out their full house inner fan dreams. Besides being historical landmarks, these houses were also the theoretical house where the TV family of Full House lived. You might just recognize them from the show's intro scene. Next stop, Chinatown. Take an Uber from Alamo Square to the Dragon's Gate, at the intersection of Bush and Grant, which should cost about $10 in an Uber. San Francisco is home to the largest Chinatown outside of Asia, and it's also North America's oldest Chinatown. Here you'll find bustling markets filled with exotic ingredients and lots of unique shopping. Red lanterns hang above many of the streets, letting you know exactly what part of the city you're in. Don't miss the beautifully decorated Dragon's Gate at the entrance to Chinatown. For those that enjoy Asian cooking, you should definitely make time to have lunch in Chinatown. After lunch, head to the famous Fortune Cookie Factory for a little dessert and see how they're made. Alright, next up is a helicopter tour. There's really no better way to see the city than aboard a helicopter. Get unparalleled views of the Golden Gate Bridge and the city's most iconic skyscrapers. The tour brings you along the beaches on the west side of the city before taking you right over the Golden Gate Bridge. When the weather conditions are good, your pilot might even fly under the bridge. We had a great day for flying, and we took the surreal flight underneath the bridge. From the Golden Gate Bridge, we made our way around Alcatraz and then pointed toward Coit Tower, passing by the city skyline. Next we traced the Bay Bridge, past Treasure Island, before looping back towards the city. For a finale, our pilot took us right over the city's most impressive buildings, like the Transamerica Pyramid and the new Salesforce Tower. Next stop is Battery Spencer. If you have any energy left today after that adrenaline rush of a helicopter ride, head across the bridge to Battery Spencer for one of the best views of the Golden Gate Bridge. This spot right here was our favorite view of the Golden Gate Bridge, and it's a great place for sunset or sunrise. On a clear day, you'll have views of the city skyline in the background behind the bridge. Alright, after the streetlights come on, it's time to grab some dinner. After a busy day exploring San Francisco, unwind at one of the most fun bars in the city. The Tonga Room is a full-on tiki bar experience located inside the Fairmont San Francisco. If you visit on the weekends, you'll find a band playing classic island vibe songs aboard a floating boat/stage in the middle of the centerpiece of the restaurant. The menu is full of Asian and Pacific Island fusion dishes and of course a full lineup of giant tiki drinks to share. It's definitely a fun way to end a day here in San Francisco. Another important decision you'll have to make when planning out your weekend in San Francisco is where to stay. Like most big cities, the area and the hotel you choose can have a big impact on your trip. We loved our last day at Fairmont San Francisco in the Nom Hill neighborhood. It was the perfect base to explore the city in style and luxury. We called the Fairmont San Francisco home on our long weekend getaway trip. Located on Nob Hill, this property was a great location and just oozed history. This hotel was actually the first Fairmont property, and it opened shortly after the 1906 earthquake. In its early years, it hosted many important people and was the place of some historical events. In modern days, it's a peaceful retreat in a central location with easy access to many of the city's top attractions. We stayed in the top floor of the tower on the 23rd floor with stunning views of the new Salesforce Tower and the city skyline. Every morning we had great sunrises right from the bed. But the whole reason we ended up in San Francisco was because of the Secret Project. We were scientifically matched to this city. Using AI and biometric responses to travel stimulations, the Club Accor Hotels developed a quiz to help you figure out where your perfect next trip should be. We took the quiz and it matched us with San Francisco, which ended up being an amazing weekend trip for us. Take the quiz and see if you match with San Francisco or where your next trip should be. Leave your results in the comments. Alright, day number 2 in San Francisco. After a travel day yesterday to San Francisco and having a fun night out in the Tonga Room, spend part of your morning in the bed. Order some room service and enjoy some relaxation time. Mimosas are always a good idea on a weekend getaway. Or if you're more of a morning person, grab a cup of coffee at Cafe Centro on your way out to explore the city. The first stop of the day is California and Powell. Just steps from Cafe Centro in the Fairmont is one of the city's most sought-after Instagram spots. From the corner of California and Powell, you get perfect views of a dramatic hill with cable cars making the long ascent, with the Bay Bridge perfectly placed in between the tall buildings of downtown. And have you really been to San Francisco if you don't ride a cable car? Catch a single ride just to say you've done it, or grab a multi-day pass and take a ride into the past while making your way around this one-of-a-kind city. Next up is Lombard Street. The Guinness World Record holding Lombard Street is famous for its 8 hairpin turns as it meanders its way down one of the many hills in San Francisco. The road makes its 8 turns in just one city block, earning it the title, the world's crookedest street. Many people line up for blocks just to make the voyage down the windy road. Another lesser-known spot is at the intersection of Hyde and Beach Street. Here you'll find a few cable cars out of service taking a break, and here you'll have the perfect spot for some pose photos with the cable cars. Next up is Fisherman's Wharf and the famous Pier 39. If this is your first time to the city, you kinda need to go and see what all the hype's about. This old pier turned tourist attraction now holds restaurants, shops, and even a carousel. Even with all of its tourist kitsch, it's still worth a visit, especially with kids. Don't miss the backside of the pier for great views of Alcatraz, and also a big colony of sea lions who've taken up residence on the nearby docks. To close out the day, the pier is also a great spot for sunset. Head to the end of the pier and stare off towards the Golden Gate Bridge as the sun melts into the horizon. Also on the wharf, you'll find plenty of restaurant options. Here the restaurant options are nearly endless in this part of the city. Alright, day 3, our final day of our weekend in San Francisco. If you're up for it, set your alarm clocks early and take in sunrise at Marshall's Beach. One of our favorite views of the Golden Gate Bridge is from Marshall's Beach in the Presidio on the San Francisco side of the bridge. This spot comes with a little work. From the parking lot, there's a half-mile hike down to the beach and a short walk along the sand. However, when you get there, you're rewarded with a very uncrowded beach with stunning views of the Golden Gate Bridge. This could also be a nice place for sunset if you're not a morning person. While visiting Marshall's Beach, make sure to take a minute and pay a visit to another famous Instagram photo spot. Just in front of the parking area, there are 2 perfectly placed trees that frame up the Golden Gate Bridge and make for another great photo. This one again gets busy during the day, but if you visit early in the morning, you might just have it all to yourself. Next stop is the Coit Tower. Make the journey up the steps of this Art Deco style tower for stunning views of the city and the bay. Alright, the last few highlights of our weekend in San Francisco is a boat tour of the bay. This body of water has always been a big part of the city, and to truly appreciate it, a boat ride is almost required. Most tours set sail from Pier 39 or Fisherman's Wharf, then they make their way around Alcatraz and under the Golden Gate Bridge before returning to the pier. It's definitely a must-do on your first trip to San Francisco. If you have time, it's definitely well worth it to hop off and explore Alcatraz. This infamous prison was home to some of the most dangerous and notorious criminals of the 20th century. It once housed the likes of Al Capone and Machine Gun Kelly, and about 1,500 prisoners in total. Located about 1.5 miles from shore, in the center of the bay, it was thought to be impossible to escape from. Alright, that does it for our weekend guide to San Francisco. For even more details and info on San Francisco, check out the link in the description to our full post for help on planning a perfect weekend in San Francisco. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see even more travel videos, hit subscribe and come travel the world with us. Well, thanks for watching, and until next time, safe travels.